we have another model that I've been waiting for quite a while. Wasn't announced too long ago, but it's definitely a model that I've wanted to add to my collection. I didn't know when it would actually become available, but it's certainly a car and a year that was really amazing, influential, at least on me, and I suppose my philosophy is, as a racing driver, at least, student of such. Here we have the 1973 Tyrrell F1, the number 5 car. This particular model is labeled as the German Grand Prix winner from 1973. It's in 1/18 scale, and it's built by True Scale Miniatures. It's a die-cast model. There's the top of the box, so we're going to go ahead and open the box, and then I'm going to show you this wonderful model that I just got this week. This actually opened much more easily when I got it open the first time, just to see what it was like. And there we have it. Wow, look at that. Hold it for just a minute in the styrofoam. I hope the styrofoam noises aren't making too much noise here. I'm sure a lot of people are not exactly fond of the sound of styrofoam or being rubbed. But anyway, I really like these old 1970s Formula One cars. They just seem like they would have been a lot of fun to drive. I think one of the biggest aspirations I have as a driver is maybe someday to be able to drive a machine that's even remotely close to this. Formula One in the 1970s was well before a lot of the electronic and technological advances that have become common today in lots of forms of racing, and not just Formula One, that make it a lot easier to drive, but, easier also means less demanding as far as driver skill goes. So, and it's replaced sometimes by other skills that you have to have instead. But these machines were very difficult to drive, and very much a manual operation, especially when it comes to the transmission and so forth. I think I've talked about this in other videos that I've done, but anyway, let's go ahead and take this out. I'm hoping that it isn't attached to the bottom, and in fact it actually is, so I may just have to leave it that way. Yeah, let's come back to this. Okay, I've got the car unscrewed from the styrofoam. One of the first things I noticed when I opened this box was the rear wing on this car. One of the most interesting things, for me at least, about the evolution of Formula One cars is the 1970s era, because that was when aerodynamics started to become a much bigger element of the technology. So you had the introduction of these gigantic rear wings, followed, of course, or along with the front wings. Right here, this one even has a little splitter that runs around on the very front here. Let me pick that up so you can see that. This little lip that runs along the front here is the splitter. And that just, as the name suggests, it splits the air between the air that's forced over the top of the wing. And then this underside would run as close to the ground as possible. So it would cut air from going under the car. And essentially, that provides lots of downforce and gives more traction, more grip. Anyway, so this was the 1973 Tyrrell Ford Formula One car that Jackie Stewart won his third and final world championship driving. And unfortunately, this was a very tragic year. But actually, I guess I'll back up and talk about, since this model is essentially made to commemorate Jackie Stewart's win of the German Grand Prix 1973, which was run at the Nurburgring. He and his teammate essentially dominated that race. So his teammate was a guy named Francois Sévère, and Sévère was a young Frenchman who was an extremely talented racing driver, and he was really good sport as well. He and Jackie, of course, were really, really good friends. Very often in Formula One, teammates who are close rivals tend not to be the best friends with each other sometimes. So it's kind of nice that you have stories like Stewart and Sévère, who got along very well, and especially the 1973 German Grand Prix. Stewart won the race. Sévère finished right behind him in the sister car, just like this one. And Sévère looked quite happy to be in second place on the podium during the ceremonies and such. He seemed quite content to be there. And to me, the most graceful way that you can handle having to finish second, even though you might be quicker than your teammate, is to finish right behind them. And all of that had to do with, the politics and the efforts of the team, and what they, Jackie Stewart was essentially in a good position to win the championship, so Sévère made sure he finished behind him instead of in front so that Jackie could have the maximum points. But after the race, Stewart was very forthcoming in saying that Sévère was faster and could have passed him any time he wanted. But he was being a dutiful teammate and stayed behind. The tragic part was that, they were both aware that that was going to be Jackie's last year in Formula One, and that Sévère was probably going to have his winning year the next season. But unfortunately, when they got to the United States Grand Prix at Watkins Glen in New York, things went horribly wrong during the race for Sévère, and he crashed, and unfortunately it was fatal. So that was a very, very sad thing, considering that he had so much potential, and he probably would have been a world champion if that hadn't happened. So I guess you could say this car gives me mixed feelings. But it's very beautiful car, and it's really important addition to my collection.